Okay, we're going to start with multiplying polynomials. We've done this before. We're going to do it with either to distribute, or you can use the box. So I'll take turns doing both ways, and then you just pick the way you like. So I'm going to do x times 3x and get 3x squared. Then I'm going to do x times x squared and get x to the third. And then I'm going to do x times a negative 7 and get a negative 7x. Now I'm going to do the other one, but I'm going to try to line it up with its friend. In other words, negative 5 times 3x is a negative 15x, so that needs to go under this x. Then I'm going to have a negative 5 times a positive x squared, and that's a negative 5x squared. I'm going to put it underneath this one. Then I'm going to have a negative 5 times a negative 7 is a positive 35. You could do them vertical or horizontal, whatever you prefer. I'm just going to do it this way and then bring all this information down. So next, 3x squared minus 5x squared is a negative 2x squared. Then I'm going to bring down this plus x to the third. And then I'm going to bring down negative 7x minus 15x and get a negative 22x. And then I'm going to bring down the 35. Now remember, we did standard form the other day, and it's where you put them in order from your exponents. So I'm going to start with this the biggest exponent, which is an x to the third. So that's going to go first. So I'm going to have x to the third first. And then the next one I'm going to do is the x squared. So then I'll do the minus 2x squared. And then the next one that I will have is this negative 22x. And I will bring that one down. And then I will end with this 35. So that is one way you can do that problem. Okay, this next one I'm going to do using the box. So in other words, it looks like I have 2 here and 3 terms there. So I'm going to do a box that looks something like this. Didn't do that very good. Here's the x, here's the 8, here's the 6, negative 2x squared, and then there's the x. So here I go. I'm going to do x times 6 and get 6x. I'm going to do x times a negative 2x squared and get a negative 2x to the third. Then I'm going to do an x times an x and get an x squared. Then I'm going to do an 8 times a 6 and get a 48. I'm going to do an 8 times a negative 2x squared and get a negative 16x squared. Then I'm going to do 8 times x. So it looks like the biggest exponent that I have right there is that x to the third, and that's the only one I have. So I'm going to just bring that down as the first term, so negative 2x to the third. Then the next thing, I'm going to look for x squareds. Here is an x squared, and here is an x squared. Now don't forget, there's a 1 right here. So 1x squared minus 16x squared is a negative 15x squared. Then I'm going to do anything that just has a normal x, which would be this 6x and this 8x. When you combine those, you would get 14x. And then that leaves the very last thing, which is just this 48, and that will go at the end. And that is my answer for number 1. So number 2, I'm going to do it distributing. Like I said, you do the way you like best. I'm just going to do this one this way. So show the different ways you can do it. 2x times x squared is 2x to the third. 2x times 4 is 8x. 2x times a negative 5x is a negative 10x squared. Kind of forgot the squared almost. Then I'm going to do the negative 3. Negative 3 times x squared is a negative 3x squared. I'm going to put it underneath its friend. Then I'm going to have a negative 3 times a 4, which is a negative 12. Just stick it here. It's okay. Then I'm going to have a negative 3 times a negative 5x is a positive 15x. Oh, we have a space for that over here. Sorry, 15x. I'm going to erase that right there. Now I'm just going to combine everything, and maybe I'll try to do it in descending order too. So the first thing is this 2x to the third. And so I have dealt with that. Let's go ahead and highlight it so I can know I've done that one. So I've done that one. The next one I need to do are these x squareds. So if I combine those next, I would get negative 13x squared. Then if the next thing I should do, I will combine, let me get back on this, these 15x and the 8x. And when I do that, I now have a 23x. And that leaves that minus 12 at the end. Remember, you can do it whatever way you like. Okay, I'm going to do this one box. It's the same shape as the one we did before. I'm going to have an x and a minus 3. I'm going to have a 5x, a minus 8, and a 2x squared. So then when I combine these, let's see what we get. X and 5x is a 5x squared. X times negative 8 is a negative 8x. X times 2x squared is 2x to the third. Now I'm going to do the next one. Negative 3 times 5x is a negative 15x. Negative 3 times a negative 8 is a positive 24. Negative 3 times 2x squared is a negative 6x squared. So it looks like the biggest exponent that I see is this x to the third, and there's only one. So I'm going to go ahead and write that down. That's a 2x to the third. Okay, then next I'm going to look for x squareds. Here's an x squared and here's an x squared. When I combine those, 5x squared minus 6 squared is a negative 1x squared, or just negative x squared. Next, I'm going to combine the x's. So here's a negative 8x, a negative 15x, and that would give me a negative 23x. And then the very last thing that we need to put is this 24 that I wrote crazy. So it's a plus 24. And that would be the answer to that. So then how many more do I have? I'm going to do one more and then I'll stop this. So I'm going to do it distributing. Remember, there's more than one way to do it. 5 times 4x is a 20x squared. Then I'm going to have 5 times 1 is a negative 5. Then I'm going to have 5 times 7x and get a 35x. Okay, now this one I'm not going to do underneath. I'm just going to keep going horizontal. Negative 3x and a 4x is a negative 12x to the third. Then I'm going to have a negative 3x times a negative 1 is a positive 3x. And then I'm going to have a negative 3x times a 7x is a negative 21x squared. So let's see what we can combine first. So the first thing I want to combine is, let's see, what's the biggest exponent? X to the third, right here. So we're going to bring down that negative 12x to the third. Then I'm going to combine anything with an x squared, which is this one and this one. 20x squared minus 21x squared is a negative 1x squared, or just a negative x squared. Then I'm going to combine my x's. So it looks like a 35x plus a 3x is a 38x. And then the last thing I can bring down is this negative 5, and that's in standard form. And that would be the answer to number 4. So this is part 1.